What's going on, Tampa Bay? My name's Jeff Dow, and I own JD's pressure washing business. The interview you're about to watch is one of a local contractor or a service-based business right here in the Tampa Bay area. We want to be able to highlight people and businesses that may or may not have the ability to get themselves and their story out there. So we decided to take it upon ourselves to do just that. So whether it's electricians, plumbers, pressure washers, realtors, or more, we want to be able to meet them, interview them, and allow you to choose the ones that you work with based on their expertise, their personal stories, or maybe even their personalities. To get there, we need your help. Subscribe to this channel, hit that little thumbs up button, and share videos like this out to your friends when they're in need of a specific service so that we can help get local customers in touch with the people who help to take care of Tampa Bay daily. So with that, enjoy the interview. Welcome back to Contractor Corner here in Tampa Bay. Today, I have a special one for you. Today, I get JB Bruns from AAP Landscaping. Longtime friend. I've been here in Tampa 11 years now, and JB has been my go-to landscaper. I'd say more lawn care guy since I first got to Tampa and didn't want to cut my lawn, especially how much it rains here. So welcome, JB. What's up?
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back. It's the second time we've been doing this. Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time, man, with you. But in general, in business, I've been in Tampa since I was 21. I moved back here when I was 21 years old, and I started my business in 2012. So it's been a while.
So that was right around the time I got here then, because I got here
Yep.
in 2013, October, last part of 2013.
Yep.
So yeah, no, he had mentioned that this is the second time we've done this when live was brand new, which is totally dating us right now. But when Instagram live was still a new thing and you only got 60 minutes at a time, I was sitting down with different business owners and I'd put up an iPad and we'd just interview. And JB was one of the first ones I did. So it's
Yep.
cool having you back. We're kind of doing something similar, but a little bit more intentional of like
Absolutely.
just getting exposure for all the like. Here's the thing. Tampa Bay has, I think last I saw, like 1.4 million people that live in the general Tampa Bay area. And the contractors are the ones who make everything run, whether
Yep.
it's landscaping, plumbing, electrical, road work. Like it's the contractors who make Tampa run every single day. So I wanted to do something because I know there's a lot of businesses. You're doing well, but I know there are people who don't have the marketing funds, who don't have that big clientele built up yet. So those are going to be, kind of the target I'm trying to reach out to. But at the same time, I want to learn the story. Like there's a
Absolutely.
moment you weren't there, and that's what I
Yep.
want to kind of go back to. So
Yep.
2012. What,
Yes.
so you said you moved to Tampa. Where did you come from?
So I was born in Tampa at St. Joseph. Actually, it was a women's hospital, and I moved to Naples, Florida, with my parents, and then Orlando, and I was there for a while. And then I moved back here because I had a lot of family, and I was tired of the Orlando area. So I moved back here when I was 21, and I've been here ever since.
Okay, so you're originally from here. That's
Yep.
sort of like my story. I was born in Florida. I just
Yep.
grew up in Maine for most of my life after I turned two.
It's
Uh,
too cold there. You can have that.
I want to go back to it. At
Woo.
least at least for the winter time, just go enjoy the snow and the winter type stuff. Honestly, I want to be able to go home more often in general, hit all four seasons.
Yeah.
So, well, welcome home. And what what was how do I go about this? So you said you were 21 when you started your business.
I was 23. I moved back to Tampa when I was 21, and I was couch surfing on family and friends' couches. And I was in the restaurant industry for three different restaurants. I was working three different jobs, and I was just hustling, trying to get my own place and saving up as much money as possible. And I ended up becoming roommates with my cousin. And 3 years later, I decided to start my own business with one of the managers of Square One Burgers and Bar, who became a really good friend of mine.
Are they still around? I'm guessing no if they started a well, he was a manager, so it could be.
Square One Burgers and Bar is no longer around. But the
I'll give a free
manager,
plug.
Alex, Alex has been a friend of mine for a long time, and we're still really good friends.
That's this is where like I love probably the most part of all, like just story building. What was it for you that made you leave the rest? I mean, you were in three, so you kind of had some things figured out, not just one. Like you were running, was it three at the same time or just three over a
Three,
certain period?
three at the same time. I was working Monday through Friday, two jobs, and then like two different. So I would do morning shift at one job, and then I'd go do night shift at the next job, and then on the weekends I would do doubles at another restaurant. So I was slaving it.
I love it.
Yeah, I
So
was
how
working. I was a cook at Wing House. I was a server and a cook at Square One Burgers and Bar, and I was a server slash bartender at New York Pizza in Ybor. So that was my late shifts. I would go in Ybor, and I would work like 7 o'clock at night all the way till 3 a.m.
is that the one that has super massively huge pizza?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's one of them. It's one. There's quite a bit of those in Tampa.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
um,
And
so
funny story. The owner of New York, he and I, when I quit there, I went back in a year later, and his name's Freddie Mahmoudi, and he and I became really good friends. And he was like, "JB, how's it going?" And I was like, "Freddie," and he was like, "What's up?" And I was like, "I started my own business." He goes, "Come give me a quote," and he was one of my very first client, and is still one of my clients this day.
that's awesome. Those are the
Yep.
cool ones. Like
Yeah.
people don't understand getting in business. Like those who are closest to you, like your family and very close friends, for some reason often end up not being. It's not that
Yeah.
they're not in favor. They want to see you succeed. They just don't end up being clients of yours for
Yep.
whatever reason.
Yep.
But it's cool to see when it does happen.
Well, he's had my back a lot. You know, I was in a accident, a T-bone. Someone T-boned my trailer,
Oh snap!
and I
Was
asked
that
him.
in
I
the
was
last
like,
couple of years?
uh, I've been in a couple accidents, but that one was the worst, and that was in I think 2015.
Okay.
And it was an open trailer, and my zero turn lawnmower flipped out. It went 100 yards. It went through this lady's fence. It was a crazy accident. But I didn't have, this was a valuable lesson for people starting a business. I didn't have insurance on my trailer and equipment. I only had insurance on my truck.
Dope to self.
Yep. Yep. And so none of that was paid for. And obviously I was still, kind of starting out. I was only 2 or 3 years into business at that time. And I had several friends really help me and several clients. I asked a couple clients that I had heart to heart relationships with for a couple years in advance on lawn care. And Freddie Mahmoudi, the owner of New York, was one of them. He's like, absolutely. He goes, you want 2 years in advance for lawn care? Here you go. Boom. And he really helped me out. And I basically, to pay him back, I just cut his lawn for 2 years to catch up for it. And I have told every single one of them if they were to do it, I'll give them several months free after those times are up. So it kind of helps them out. But it was really to help me out. It wasn't anything crazy. I was either going to lose my business or get some help, and I had a lot of help. So it was nice. I had another friend let me borrow one of his zero turn lawnmowers for several months until I could afford to buy another one. So it was good. It was nice when your community comes together and helps you out.
Absolutely. I didn't even know that story.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a wild one.
I've got some, not the accident part, but I've got similar upbringing, and maybe I'll share my story one of these days. Until then, I'll just keep asking everybody else their story.
Right.
But I did have someone front load me like $1,600 to get my pressure washer, to get the initial kit back back when I was towing with the Miata.
Yes, I love it. I love
People
it.
think I'm kidding. I'm like, I got pictures.
Yep.
I got a video of me in a Velociraptor suit inside of that thing, driving it when I was creating videos. Like,
Yes.
nope, the Miata is part of the game, part of the story.
Well, and that's what makes you appreciate it when you get a little bit further, and you look back on those times and then you see other people doing the same thing. Like I remember 5 years, 6 years into my business, I had 2 trucks, 2 trailers, 2 crews. And I look over and I'm at a gas station and I see this guy in a minivan and he's got 4 push mowers stacked up in the back, roped. And I'm like, I can't hate on the guy. Like that's how I start. When I was 15, I had a Daewoo Laganza and I had weed eaters and edgers sticking out the windows, and I had a push mower sticking out of the trunk. Same thing, I started that way. So it's just a love and respect. You got to start somewhere.
I, these are the stories I love because they're the ones
Yep.
you can't make up.
Yeah. Yep.
Like you can stretch some stuff, but like a Miata, I installed
Yes.
the tow hitch. They
Yep.
don't come with tow hitch. I had to cut the bumper.
Yes.
Oh,
I love
man.
it.
Good
I
stuff.
love it. Dude, well, and people think, oh, start a business, it'll be fun, they say.
I mean, it's fun eventually.
There's a lot that comes with it. It's not as easy as everyone thinks.
No, okay, so great, like nailed it. What was it that made you want to go from doing food and restaurant industry to starting a lawn care? Sounds like you did it when you were younger and
Yep.
then kind of morphed into it. So what
I
made you
had my
kind of lean?
parents, I didn't really have any money. I mean, my parents, we had a roof over our head, we had clothes, we had food, like we weren't poor. But we didn't have a lot of money. Any extra money, my parents always said, if you want anything extra, you have to get it yourself. You have to pay for it yourself. So, if I wanted a car, they told me they would match me for whatever I saved, and they matched me. So I was like, all right, well, will you help me? And so they said, yeah. What are you looking for help for? And I started with the push mower and a lawnmower in the neighborhood, and I saved up my money. They matched me. I got the Daewoo Laganza. Idiot me, I didn't save up for a truck. And so now instead of towing something, I'm putting lawnmower equipment in a Daewoo Laganza. But so that's how I started, and it, I had a lawn care service in high school. I had about 30 clients, and so I would go to school, I'd play sports, and then on the weekends I would cut grass, and that's how it started. But then I got tired of it, um, and I got introduced to the restaurant industry, and I was in the restaurant industry for 8 years and loved it. I really did love the restaurant industry. I love meeting people, talking to them, giving them great experiences. But what I didn't like was from most management and owners and clients at the restaurant, there's a lot of negative. There's you can never make them happy. And I was tired of that. I was tired of working my butt off and getting stiffed and all that stuff that comes with it, all the negative side of it. It was 50-50, 50-50 positive, 50-50. You were like, what am I doing? I'm only making $600 a week. And at that time, at that age, $600 a week was great. It's not that bad. You can make more if you're hustling. And
Right.
I was hustling, but what can I do with that time to double my money? And that's where I was at. And also feel like I'm getting treated right and be my own boss. And so that's where I started. Well, and here's the kicker, you think you're your own boss, but then you get a bunch of clients. Well, now you're still working for people and you
Right.
still get treated poorly. They're never happy with your food, your service in the restaurant industry, your drinks, or this and that. Well, I'll switch it to lawn care and landscaping. Oh, well, they notice all the negative stuff in lawn care. They don't really notice the positive stuff. They notice it, but they don't say anything about the positive stuff. They only say the negative. Oh, well, why don't you guys do this? Why don't you guys do that? Why don't you guys do that? So for those of you listening, don't think just because you start your own business doesn't mean you don't have clientele and you work for yourself. You still work for other people. But
you do get to fire your customers,
exactly.
but your
Exactly.
bosses, if you really don't like them that much.
Exactly. But that's why I kind of fell out of the passion for lawn care and fell a more passionate love for landscaping because it's an instant gratification and they are always happy at the end of a landscape. So
What's the difference to somebody who doesn't know? Because I'll put myself in that category. For the longest time, I thought they were one and the same. So
right.
what is the difference? And what was it that leaned you more that direction?
So lawn care is basically a weekly maintenance where my guys will show up, they'll mow, edge, weed eat, blow, and they'll trim bushes, they'll pull weeds, spray weeds, rake leaves, haul all debris away. I do like a full package. That's what sets me apart from some of these mow and blow guys. There's a big difference where they come in there, they're in and out in 5 minutes. Now we got a lot of clients that want that, and we do that. But we also got a lot of clientele that are like, we don't want to do a thing in our yard. But that's also the complaints that we get. They're like, oh, well, they didn't do this or they didn't do that. And so I was like, all right, well, where do I go business wise to where you don't have that effect and people are appreciating and love it, and you get a good bang for your buck at the same time. And that's landscaping, where you're designing the landscape of your plants, your bushes, your mulch, your rock beds, your pavers, stuff like that. And that's how it started, and it's gotten bigger to where I'm doing artificial turf, the pavers, the irrigation, the whole package. So all of the installs, that's landscaping. That's the difference between lawn care maintenance and landscape installs design. I do 3D design where I'll take a picture of your house and I'll put it in my computer and I'll design a landscape around it so you can get a visual of what it's going to look like before we even install it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a level up too.
Yeah, yep. And I started doing that. I used to be hand drawing, so back to where we started. It
Stick
used to
figure
be
king right here.
it
So
used
you're
to be
better than
hand
me.
drawings. I would do highlighted. I would do color pencils for your plants, different colors, different styles, and it was all drawings. And it
That's gonna
didn't
take
look
you
as
some time.
professional. It took a lot of time, and I didn't charge for that at that time because I was like just wanting the work. So I was just doing it for a visual for them.
And
But
sometimes you need that.
yeah,
And people don't realize that when you're just first getting started, like that's the type of stuff that you take advice when you're starting a business on all these different things, like what you should do, what you shouldn't do.
yep,
I always say filter the advice you're getting through the perspective of how, whoever's saying it, the perspective they're speaking to you at. If they're
correct.
telling you from where they are today, way different from when they started. When you first get started, you do have to eat a lot of crow. You do
Yep,
have to do a lot of things for free. Like you want to go
yep.
get 50 reviews on Google, go do whatever your job is 50 times for free, and people
Yeah.
don't want to hear that. But I'm not saying you have to, but that's one good way to get business and get it quick and
Well,
get
it's
good
about the
reviews.
long-term goal, not the short-term goal. And that's what it comes down to. And I knew that. I knew that at the time. And I also joined a business networking international. It's called BNI. And for those of you that don't know, it's international, it's worldwide. There's groups and chapters all over the state, all over your town, your city. And in one chapter, only one person of your industry can hold a seat. And you basically are networking with 30 to 50 other business entrepreneurs, sales reps, in this chapter. And that's how I really blossomed my business. I was in that a year after I started my business, and I was in it for a good 10 years. After I started, I was out of it for a year or two, but then got back into it. And it's like basically having your own sales reps out there, because you're selling for them, they're selling for you. You have a stack of business cards of people that you know, like, and trust, and you're referring them to your clients, and they're referring you to their clients. And that was a big deal. Just like you were talking about, just starting somewhere. It was a little bit of an investment. I mean, it was very small if you think about it. If you have a business mindset, it was like, I want to say at that time, $400 a year, and then $40 a month.
Oh wow.
So it was cheap, and the problem was you have to go once a week. And it felt like, I don't know if you know Billy Madison, when he's sitting there and he's like, my boots tied tight, my lunch packed right. I hope I don't get in a fight. Like, he's ready for school. It's like, I felt like every day I'm going to school, or once a week I'm going to school, but it was worth it. And I actually ended up growing a bunch of good friendships and relationships and business relationships to where I still have those relationships till this day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Noted. I'm gonna have to finally look into BNI. I've
Yeah.
actually been in business for just over 2 years now, and I've always personally, I haven't had the most luck in and maybe that's because when I was looking into those in the past, I was more of a network marketing business, not knocking it, but I can see how a service-based business working with other service-based businesses may actually do a lot better in that area. Because I
Yes.
just felt like I was the one who was always making referrals and I never got that stuff back.
Right.
So,
Sorry, I'm on my phone. Did it cut me out?
only no, I just flipped you to the side
Oh,
for
okay.
a moment.
That's
I'm gonna
funny.
have to turn my head.
Yeah,
So,
I'm using my phone, so I apologize,
are
guys.
you good? So you said, and I sidetracked you, but you said initially you weren't charging for that. So you were going down the path of like starting to draw out the pictures for customers and continue
Yep.
on that.
Yep. So I did that for years, and then I had a friend of mine who had a pool business in upstate, and
New York?
um, no,
Sorry.
I can't remember which state. Um, but he moved upstate, and he started a pool business, and he was doing really good for himself, and he was doing all the designs, or his wife was doing all of his designs, and they introduced me to one of their landscape architect design 3D designs on the computer. And once he introduced me to that, I was like, all right, well, if I'm going to spend the time and it's going to be this professional, like it's worth something. So that was when I started charging like a $600 flat rate to design, because what I was noticing was, with that kind of design, people were going to take my design
Give it to the
and
best bidder.
yep,
It's like tattoos.
yep,
That's why people charge for all inclusive. That makes
absolutely.
perfect sense. Now,
Yep.
do you factor in your drawing time as far part of your final price? Do you take some of that off if they end up going with you, or is
No,
that's
no.
still separate regardless?
Well, I mean, like I don't do any drawings anymore. It's all 3D, but my 3D is it's just a $600 flat rate. And if they're not happy with the design I give them, it's free to change it however many times until they're happy with the design.
Okay.
So
So generally, then they more than likely end up staying with you anyway because
yeah,
they're probably coming in with more of a referral and trust based scenario, and they've probably seen plenty of your work already.
yep, yep,
Now that and that's huge. Like
absolutely,
people don't understand. Like you're that's why like your reputation matters so much.
absolutely.
I point to this constantly. For me, that's my reputation. Anywhere that goes, I have a game plan for where my business is going to go. Like you're not going to be able a JD's pressure washing truck will not pass you by the end of 2025 and you not recognize it. Like
Right,
there will be certain things. Why? Because my name, your name matters. It's how I acted, in the military as well. Your name precedes you.
absolutely.
Scarface, I'll save the full quote, but he basically says he's not gonna break his word for anybody because his name, his reputation matters, and I that
Absolutely.
stuff type of stuff sticks with me. So
Yep. Yep.
especially when
I
you do good
agree.
work.
Well, and being a men and women of your word, that's how I was raised. And so if you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. And it's huge in business. When you give someone a time, being on time or early, and if not, you communicate with the client and you let them know,
Amen.
hey, I'm running a little bit late. I just wanted to communicate with you. Stuff like that goes a long way.
That's one of the things that I had. So I don't know if you use the program Markate. That's the CRM that I use to keep all my customers in. And one of the things they love is once they go in, they put in an estimate, or they can put in a request, a query. I'll fill out an estimate and send it to them. Once they approve it, I'll go in and select a date, and it's set up to automatically kind of incubate. So a day before I show up, it'll send them a text and an email letting them know, hey, we're going to be coming out tomorrow. Just want to verify we're still good to go. And I see, they accept it. And then by the
Yeah.
time when I'm on my way, I can go into the app and put how many minutes it says it's going to take for me to get there, and I send it. When I show up, I knock on the door. When I'm done, I let them know. If I find anything broken in the process or anything
Yep.
that they need to know about, I communicate it. And that's
I
one
love
of the
it. That
things that
sounds very similar to Jobber.
I think it
That's
is.
what
It's
I use.
yes. Okay, yeah.
I use
It's another
Jobber.
CRM.
Yeah.
But ultimately the customers love the communication aspect. They love you really can't over communicate with a customer. And if you if they're not that type of customer, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
and I mean, try to be a people under, like, pay attention to cues. Like, I've learned there's some customers that they are not detailed. They're just, dude, I hired
Yeah.
you to do the job. Just shut up and do it.
Yeah.
Like, they don't say that, but they can
No,
tell
but
you.
they don't want the stress. They
No.
don't want the stress. They hired you for a reason. They
Yep.
want you in, they want you out, and they trust you enough to just take care of it.
Yep.
Yep. I actually love those clients because they trust me with my design, my vision, and I come in and then back to happy with lawn care or not, but very happy with landscaping. When they pull in the driveway at the end of the day and they're like, wow, that was amazing. This looks gorgeous. I'm so happy. Like, that's instant gratification that I'm like, man, that I feel whole and complete and I love my job.
Yes. Those are the best too. Like the
Yeah.
wow factor. When you can get an audible wow out of a customer, you
Yep.
crushed it.
Absolutely. And that's why my guys all the time, when a client texts me and they're like, I just want to let you know you guys did a phenomenal job, I'll screenshot that right away and send it to my guys because they don't hear that all the
Amen.
time, and
Why you have a
and
good business.
well, and back to what we were talking about on, why I started my own business and why I wanted to get out of the restaurant industry. I did tell myself when I start my own business, I want to make sure I treat my guys who work for me and my business and my name and my reputation how I want to be treated. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of times where I'm getting hit with so much negative stuff. I have to give them constructive criticism, and it's tough to be the bad guy. But that comes into play on the difference between being a boss and a friend.
Right. It's standards. We
Yep.
have standards. Like, this company has certain standards, and sometimes correction needs to happen. Sometimes people are just having a bad day,
Yeah.
and they just skipped out on a certain step, or whatever. But that takes time to hire slow but fire fast.
Yep.
Hire, if
Yep.
it's necessary.
Yeah.
But
Yep. And my cousin, you know my cousin Jason, he's been with me for 9, 10 years now. And he's been my foreman of the lawn care side of things. And it's hard. It's hard to stay positive when every time they're gonna nitpick something every single time. And he's like, JB, I'm just getting burnt out. Like, we haven't had any positive things. And I was like, just keep pushing away, brother. Just keep pushing away. It's you're gonna have it. You're gonna get it. And then I'll bring him to a landscape, and he's like, man, I want to go back to lawn care because this is some heavy work.
hey, smart on the business owner side
Yeah.
to recognize that.
Yep.
He does good work.
He does.
Yeah, it's usually him and one or two guys.
Him and one other guy. There was a point where I had a 4-man crew, and I was just like, what am I doing? Lawn care doesn't pay that much.
Right. So
Like,
how big is your business now? How many trucks you got? How many people in total?
I still got 2 trucks, 3 trailers. I got a dump trailer for like when we do big debris and tree removal and tree trimming and stuff like that. I kind of expanded that into this year with this storm hitting Tampa for the first time in 100 years, and it really didn't even hit compared to what it could have done. But
Yeah, still 40 miles south.
yeah, exactly. But I know a lot of friends, clients, family who got hit hard, flooding, stuff like that. It was more flooding than anything.
Dude,
But
my neighborhood, my house, right? My
yep,
driveway was halfway up the driveway, water. Like, I went out during the storm because my mom was losing her mind. I'm like, it's not that bad. And I went out and was like, oh my God. I'm like, where's this water coming from? This
yeah,
doesn't even make any sense. I'm like, there's no
yep,
body of water here. Lake Magdalene
yeah, the lake,
filled up so much that all the creeks, everything backed up. And like,
yeah,
even the next day when I woke up, there's water coming out of the sewer, like bubbling out of the sewer. I'm like,
yep,
this is wild.
dude, it's been insane.
So that was
I just now, because that was in October, I just now slowed down.
that's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
know there was a period of time right after the hurricane that, like, every neighborhood was rough. There was debris, trees down, and I'm like, is anybody doing anything?
yeah,
And like, I don't
yeah,
know. As soon as it started, like, I'd say like 2 days later, you started to notice some stuff. Started to
yeah.
see all the trucks coming in, and like stuff was moving. Maybe it
Oh
was
yeah.
because the dumps were so backed up. Like, I don't know what
Well,
the
well, you got to think it's literally the entire West Coast got hit. And so there's not enough manpower. Like, where do you start? Like, it doesn't matter how many small businesses there are. every house had something wrong. That's how big this was. And I'm talking from all the way from, Fort Myers all the way up to the front
Panhandle.
of all the way up to the panhandle of
There are
Florida.
people down here from Texas, Pennsylvania. Like I
Yeah.
saw, and not just
And
a
that's when
truck, like multiple.
you start seeing the people move in, and that's when you start seeing the work coming in faster and
Gotcha.
faster and faster because
That
they have to come from other states.
that makes sense.
Yep.
I think about that stuff with electricians. I didn't really think about that with the cleaning crew. This is the first time I really had to experience the cleaning crew.
Yeah.
I somewhat remember it on Irma, but this was really the first. We didn't even get done, taking care of the storm that happened like a week and a half, 2 weeks before that one.
Yep.
Before, was it Helene?
I know. Yeah.
No,
Helene.
was it Helene? Yeah, whatever
Helene.
one that was. So smart on you to make that pivot. I remember when you reached out. I shared it. It is, hit or miss
Oh,
as
yeah.
far as whether or not people key in on it. Luckily, Google search. Like
Yeah.
people had, and as soon as you start helping some customers, everybody, oh, this next door just blowing up. Like, oh, go to this
Absolutely.
person, go to this person. Facebook.
Well, and it also gets to that point to where there are so many people from out of town to where people are like, well, I want 3 or 4 bids, and they go to Facebook. I got bid this. Does this seem appropriate? I got this. Did this seem appropriate? And so it's hit or miss, just because people are going for the cheapest price, which isn't always the best. Make sure people are insured if you're listening out there.
No, that's smart. I mean, that's the type of stuff that I think, granted, a lot of customers, you're only going to deal with that in times like that, like that are kind of in the moment disaster level. Because
Oh, yeah.
generally speaking, most of your tree cutters, they're, I mean, outside of like a hurricane scenario with everybody trying to capitalize, like I'm not kidding when I say that I'm going to own a few Huskies in the next go round. I'm going to have chainsaws that are available.
Yep.
I've got trailers I can outfit, switch over relatively quickly.
Yep.
I mean, it's being smart, and helping to take care of your community at the same time.
Yep. Exactly.
Offering,
Not price gouging like some of
no,
these outer towners,
no, I was going to say offering, a fair price for fair work. Like,
Exactly.
we've got to all get back to work. We've all got to get roads clear. We've got to get, trees and stuff out of the way so that electricians can get in and do their job.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
was that was you said this was the first year really kind of dialed into that side of it as far as tree cutting? Is that something?
Yeah, well, so on my own, so my best friend, he was one of my groomsmen. I met him actually in BNI when I was 23, my first year in business. When I joined BNI, we connected right off the rip. He owned a tree business, and I owned my landscaping and lawn care business, and we were referring so much work back and forth. And for him, his business was bigger than mine. He was like, JB, he goes, one of these hurricanes, just come up with me and do like a crash course on how to sell tree work. He goes, instead of it going to me, going to my sales guy, going back to you, he goes, let's just cut the middleman out and you just sell for me. And so for 4 or 5 years, I was helping him out and he was helping me out, and I was just basically selling the big tree work because he does big tree work, cranes, all that, all the tree removal that are on houses. That's what he does. He does land clearing, all that stuff. And he's my best friend, so we have each other's backs all the time. But it got to the point where it's like, all right, well, on these storms, if they're going to hit Tampa, I'm going to do the small stuff. And I still refer the big stuff to him. Anything I can't handle, I send to him because he can handle. He's got the machine work. He's got the power to do it. But yeah, so I've been in the tree world for going on 5 or 6 years now.
Nice. Is it something that you're adding on as a new service for your own business, like even outside of hurricane stuff?
Yeah, the trimming and the small tree removal, anything that's small. If it gets big, I sell it for him, and he just gives me a commission on the sales.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. That's business, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
If it wasn't such a nightmare for how many people I plan on interviewing going forward, I would be looking into the same, but there's no way I can follow up on that. If people want to throw me a referral for any business that comes, cool. I
Right.
It's not expected. Like,
Right.
I can't follow up on that.
Yeah. Yep. It's tough.
So So this is the stuff that I love too. Like you started business, you saw another opportunity on how to move your business and position it, and to offer another service. Because the thing in business, the cost to acquire CTA is the highest cost initially to get your customer. After
Absolutely.
you've got them, you just serve them and you keep them.
Yep.
So learning, and this is something I'm doing in business too. After the hurricane, I started doing soffit repair. I started doing fence repair. I started doing things I hadn't done previously. Why? Because my customers were asking if I could do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
sure, I'll give you a discount. Never done it before, but yeah, we'll we'll figure this out. As long as
Exactly.
it wasn't something that needed to be like super technical. Like
Right.
if you need me to repair, like to replace the gutter, I'm not the guy. Mostly because while I understand rise over run, I don't necessarily know how to get you the best slope, based off of a repair issue, vice a complete install, which I definitely don't do.
Right.
So,
Well, and you want to put your name on a product that you trust, and
yes,
if you're not too comfortable doing it, then I'm not going to put my name on it. And that
100%.
goes the same with me on tree work or this or that. That's why I handle the smaller stuff. And if it is bigger, I know it. I know how to do it. But trusting the guys that he has, I'd rather do that, and trusting his equipment to make sure it's safe and it's not falling on someone's house, falling on their car, falling on their driveway, chipping their pavers. Like there's so many things in tree work that people don't realize what can go wrong if you hire the wrong company.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why insurance and license for that stuff absolutely matters.
Yep.
It drives me crazy in pressure washing when I have customers, like I see the post, like I need someone who's licensed and insured. I'm like, I get where you're coming from. But on the license part for my industry, it doesn't exist anymore. Like,
Right.
yes, I can go get a license. I probably should. It's only 20, 30, $40, something like that. But it's not the standard that it once was because a bill passed in the state that allows us to go from county to county. We don't need that anymore because
Right.
it for exactly where I live. I'm so close to Pasco and relatively short to Hernando, Pinellas, Polk. Like I could hit those jobs, and having to get a license in every single one as for pressure washing, that's just
Yeah.
not so
Yep.
smart. But in an industry specific, like tree cutting, like you do have to work. That's a big deal. Like
Yeah.
trees, if you don't have them tied down properly before you cut, an arm can sling and fly into a house and cause even further damage, or a
Yep.
vehicle, or
Yep.
pavers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just people, and it's happened to him and he's paid to fix it. It's been mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen, especially when you're working with big equipment. But just like an oil or a hydraulic line busting while they're driving over the pavers,
Yeah,
and
unforeseen.
they had plywood down, but it still got all over the place. And when you don't notice the first 5-10 minutes, it's squirting out everywhere.
Yep.
And that's something that needs to get replaced. But that's the kind of stuff. It's like you need to make sure you're working with a company that's going to fix stuff like that.
No, absolutely. So that's kind of in the direction I want to go. Like, so I know a lot of what makes you different, but from your perspective, what would you say makes AAP? Okay, let's start with that. AAP landscape. Where does that name come from? What does it stand for? Where does it come from?
So my business partner at the time, we were only business partners for like a year, and Alex was like, "I'm done with this. This is not what I wanted. It's a little too stressful." And Alex went somewhere else. Um, but we came up with the name all about progressive landscaping. Because when you pull up to your driveway, you always want your landscaping to be progressive. You don't want it to,
I get
die,
it.
not be maintained, digress. It's one of those things I want you to feel like you're always looking better. And so that was kind of my mindset. And on top of that, at the time when the phone book and being at the top of like the letters of when you're looking something up, that was important. So double A, like AAP, all about
Smart.
progressive. So those were things that were going through my mind. I was like, what can it be? What can it be? And so that's what I came up with. And so I want it to be progressive. I always want your yard to be progressing towards the better.
I like it, and that's smart marketing too. I tell people all the time, like, if you ever see me tag like at fence company near me, That's actually my buddy's fence company. I'm like, that
That's
is
funny.
genius marketing. Like, well done. Because what do
Yes.
people go to type in Google? Fence company near me. The only problem is when they don't live anywhere near here, you're probably
Right.
fighting that in Google too.
Right. Absolutely.
But
Oh
no,
yeah.
that's smart. Good move. Good, forward thinking too, of
Yep.
at least with the marketing that you had at the time, just being smart enough to capitalize in that area. And obviously it didn't hurt you long term, but
No, no. And then I had a friend create one of my logos. She did it, for free, and she created my AAP logo, and the A's are blades of grass, and then the P is like mowed grass, where it's just like nice and cut like a golf green. So it blended in pretty good. It was pretty cool.
that's cool. It's cool when you have like those scenarios too. Like when people that are able to help out to help build your brand to where it is now.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So what for you, what do you think? Obviously the simple stuff, but why does AAP landscaping stand out? Why do most customers choose you over somebody else? Like, what do you think is your X factor?
Well, I think being personable and down to earth is one of the biggest things. Being able to work with me, when it comes to the designs and stuff. One of the hardest things transitioning from business owner in the field to business owner on the business, and instead of working in the business, now I work on the business.
I was on, yep.
And that's a big thing to do. But the problem with doing that initially is the clients that were used to seeing me in the field all the time. The quality of work wasn't how I wanted it to be done or how the client wanted it to be done, and that transition was very hard. And it's hard to find people to do it exactly how you would run your own business and do your own work. My cousin does a good job. He's been with me for a long time, and that's what separates us. Is we're a little bit of a smaller family business. We work it together, and he and I communicate a lot in the field on what needs to be done. And then the landscape side of things, I work with a couple guys that I have now who really care about what they're doing. And so when it goes from me dealing with the client and getting what they want from pen and paper to their actual yard, it's just being personable and knowing what they want and getting kind of like how you and I are, and how we are, talking with each other right now. We could talk for hours. I do that with my clients, and then they get that feeling to where they know they can like me, trust me, and be comfortable with anything that I bring to the table. And that it's hard to find because everyone is like, all right, give me the job, give me the job. I want to do it. I want to get in. I want to get paid. I want to get out. And that's a big difference between my business and my passion compared to some of the other companies out there who are showing up in a wife beater and cigarettes.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, it's relationships.
Yeah.
Like it's literally is what you're just saying. It's the relationships of it sounds to me, if I had to take a guess, the answer is probably yes. The customers and their family, their kids' upcoming events, because they probably share that stuff with you.
Yeah.
And it's stuff
Absolutely.
that you remember, or if you're smart and you don't have the best memory, you take notes and you put it into Jobber. Like customer had mentioned, dog's name is blank. Just simple things like that
Yep.
are when you remember it next time that you're in front of that customer. Because that's, when I go back for customers I've done in the past, I try to review notes on stuff in the past. Mostly like if the customer was not happy about something, we try to make that the priority on the
Yes. Absolutely. And constructive criticism is important. You need it, otherwise you don't know how to get better.
Agreed.
I used to have a hard time with it, but I've gotten way better at it, and same with Jason. He and I are really on a level, like you said, like it's important to have those. That's why I told him, I was like, don't get upset when I'm sending you negative stuff. I'm just relaying. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm relaying what the client is telling me, and if I don't tell you, you're not going to know how to fix it for future reference. And so it's important. It's important to write those notes down and share it with your crew as well.
that's that's the huge part. It's so cool. Like you're a couple of the people I've interviewed are one man show. Like myself, but there's
Yep.
also been you and Attic Queen both have teams. So it's cool to see. Like that's my goal for 2025 is to start to build a team. And those are the things that I think about too. It is important. Your employees do need to see the negative stuff because
Yeah.
again, it comes to a level of standard. Like our name is on this product. This is what this customer expects to have happen because that's what we've either given before or have committed that that's what we're going to do. We It sucks for me because there's a company down south in like Naples, Pelican Pressure Washing,
Okay.
another Navy Intel guy. We both went to like a pitch competition. So the VA puts on like an event every year, and they have like 10 to 16 different businesses get to do like a Shark Tank and pitch their business.
Nice.
So I got to start the morning, he got to end the morning, and we find out after we're both Navy Intel guys and we both own pressure washing businesses. But
That's crazy.
he said something I absolutely love, and I try to keep it. I always give credit as I built all that up to them,
Yes.
but he's not wrong. His tagline for his business is "We don't cut corners, we clean them." I'm like, oh, that's so
Nice.
money. Well
Nice.
done.
Yes.
So,
That's awesome.
but that's the mindset you got to have, right? Like
Absolutely.
we're like my business, phrase, if you will, is a veteran level attention to detail because that's it. It tells the customer like we go the extra mile, and I
Absolutely.
probably take longer on jobs than I should, and customers always seem to be happy, even though there are times where I don't like the end result
Yep.
because just when people live in South Tampa and there's nowhere for the water to go. I mean, your
Yeah.
driveway,
Yeah.
like you get
Yes.
it. you know
Yes.
like there's
Oh yeah.
there's certain things you just can't, it's out of your control, but
Yep.
you know trying to be that OCD person to get what customer is looking for. The name
Right.
matters, and it that's I guess where I was getting to is that helping your team see that same vision and finding people who have that buy-in. That's probably the hardest thing to build a business with the right people.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's
So
hard. And the other hard thing is like with lawn care is, my guys make anywhere between $15 to $25 an hour. And people still want to pay $25 a cut. And I'm like, and they want you to stay there for 30 minutes. They get up, they call me and they're like, "Oh, the guys were only here for like 15 minutes." And it's like, well, you're only paying $25 a cut. Like my guys need to go do 4 lawns in an hour in order for me to make money. Like my truck payments, my insurance, my gas, my day labor, insurance, like all of it, everything adds up. And it's like people still want to pay $25 a cut. Now, the $25 a cut I get when you're a one-man band and your only overhead is yourself. Like
right.
you're only paying yourself, and then you got your truck and your trailer and your insurance, and that's all you got. You can go cut 10 yards and not have to pay $300, $400 in labor in one day. So that's the toughest thing with lawn care. My lawn care basically pays the bills to just keep the lights on.
And the
And it's the
landscaping.
walking billboard for landscape. Hey, the client, I want a new landscape. I want pavers. I want artificial turf. I started doing artificial turf, and that's been a big thing in Tampa. But what's really made artificial turf hard is they're asking for permits now. You need a permit for artificial turf now. So it's actually a good thing because we can do that. We can get permits for turf. And it's made it harder for companies that don't know how to get permits for turf. So it's really a limited market, and not every business can do that. And
So because you
it's
have lawn care to keep the wheels turning, you're able
yep,
to take and tread water on those jobs to get
exactly.
what's needed.
Exactly. Yeah, that you bring it back full circle. It's like that just is a walking billboard, or a driving billboard, that's just going around town with my logo, landscaping, irrigation, pavers on my trailers. And then I try to post as much as possible before and afters on Facebook because that's huge. If you're not taking advantage of the free marketing on Facebook, you need to take a class.
No, agreed. I mean, that's the easy stuff in theory. It's hardest in practice to actually commit to doing it consistently. Like that's where all of us, especially if you're a one man show,
Yep.
because you have to be cognizant of all of that stuff and put content out.
Absolutely. It's huge. And the one thing I notice is sometimes people take it too far and all they do is post business and they do it too much. And then people get bored with it and they stop clicking on it. Because you need to give them something that they also want to look at that makes them feel familiarized with you.
Yeah.
So it's important to post family photos, friend outings, like things that, people, will feel heartfelt for. And not just because you're doing it for business, but it's just so they can feel a part of your life and what they're contributing towards your business, towards your life, and that you're not just business and you are a family man and you are a human being.
They don't want to feel sold all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's a really good, I don't want to look at it. I'll get it to you later. There's a really good
Yeah.
book I'm listening to right now that I don't agree. I think some of the information they give is outdated, but the concepts are still there of like how to build. The whole premise is like how to build to, I think it was 1 million subscribers on YouTube in like 30 days. I mean, there's a way to, it's not all organic. Like there's
Right.
paid media in there.
I'm
There's a
sure.
strategy, but a lot of the concepts are, finding ways to get people to engage with your content. Telling
Yep.
them to is the worst way possible. Like
Yeah.
I'm even still learning that. It's the Gary V mindset, the give, 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 and like
Yep.
300 more gives and then ask.
Yes.
And at
Yep.
that point, like people almost feel bad because of how much you've outgiven them. Like
Right.
one of the best things I teach all the time on my own content that I'm putting out, I'm forever going live. If not live, doing stories, teaching people. I teach Mike. If you follow me on Instagram, I literally teach you how to not hire me, which seems counterintuitive, but it's not because I
Right.
know time is still an issue. And I
Absolutely.
have commercial grade, similar to yourself. I have commercial equipment that's made to go way faster, way more efficiently. What's
Yep.
going to take you all day, maybe a weekend to do, I'm going to knock out in a couple hours. And the
Yep.
difference, like with the customers that you had referenced, well, how short they were there, you're not paying me for time. You're paying me to solve a problem. As
Absolutely.
long as the problem is solved, you've met the requirement, and the amount of time is irrelevant. Honestly, you should be thankful we were there in less time.
Yeah.
You were in and out of your hair before you could even, finish breakfast.
Exactly. Unless it looks like crap and my guys didn't
Totally
do
agree.
what they're supposed to do.
Right.
But if can you send me pictures of if your lawn looks bad? If it does, I'll send them back. If it looks great and you have nothing to complain about, why does it matter how fast they did it?
You're welcome.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Well, if people want to figure out or want to go check out some of your work, look at your landscaping jobs. Where are the best places to go? Obviously, Facebook, but where do you got a
Yep. My
website?
website. Yeah, my website has a lot of pictures and a lot of artificial turf on there. But aaplandscaping.com.
Awesome.
Yep.
And you're one of the easiest people to reach out to ask questions. If people
Absolutely.
are curious, about getting something done.
Yep.
I'm sure
Yeah, don't leave me a voicemail. I get thousands of voicemails. Text, I get right back to you on text.
solid.
Yeah.
Well, I will definitely. I'm gonna always kick this open to people. If something comes up, like you guys are offering a new service or maybe a big, I don't know, something that you guys are doing in Tampa that you just want to get some exposure on, reach back out, have you back on, or even over a period of time, just come back on and give an update on
Absolutely.
where you're at, and especially as we get into 2025. We all got big game plans, so it'll be cool to see how everybody's executing and getting to that next level.
Big time. My next jump is getting a stump grinder and doing stump grinding because all those trees that got knocked down and cut down and everyone left and there's no one to stump grind. I mean, there's stump grinders out there, but they can't keep up with all the out of towners that went home and they don't stump grind. They just remove trees. That's my next bet. Now, by the time I get it, all of them are going to be stumped. But I mean, constantly need to be stump ground. Especially that's one thing that I did with my friend is I would storm chase with him and sell tree work on all of the storms that hit out of state, and we would go. So I could always bring a stump grinder out of town and stuff like that. But to have all that equipment here in town, do it when I need to, and then go storm chase, it's fun. It's fun to get out of town, be with your boys for a little bit, and then come back home.
Man, I'll tell you what, next time that goes down, hit me up, see if I'm free. I'll come help out.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good time, bro. It's like you're out of town, and the thing, it's a love-hate relationship because it's hard to see people's devastation.
Right.
But someone's got to remove those trees off their houses to help get their roofs back on, to help get their drywall fixed, all of that. Someone's got to do it. So I love going in there, and every single person we help out, and we don't price gouge, we give them good prices. Every single person, when we remove that tree, they're just like, thank you so much for getting here as fast as possible. They're so appreciative, and they love us, and they love our prices. And that's why I do it. I love doing it. And most of them, we can work with their insurance companies, and all they're doing is paying their deductible. And then the people that don't have insurance, we give them the best price possible because we work with so many insurance companies. We already got a decent, payday from those insurance companies. Obviously not price gouging the insurance companies. You don't want to do that because then the insurance companies are going to flag you, and you're not going to work with them anyways. So you can't price gouge the insurance companies, but they pay, and they pay good to get that done fast and get their emergency work done fast. So whenever someone doesn't have that, we really try to give them good cash deals to help them out. We're already right here next to you doing an insurance job. And then you see their face glow up, and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't think I was going to be able to afford this. Thank you so much. And you got an 80-year-old woman who can't even get out of her house. And her family's out there like, hey, we can't get her out. Can you remove this tree? It's blocking her driveway, it's blocking her door, it's blocking her house. Like, the only way out is through a window. And those are the things that you deal with. But it's fun because you get to see this big equipment, the crane, the operating all that fun equipment where you're using a remote control, and it's 100 feet out. It grabs it, it cuts it, and it brings it back. Like, it's a lot of fun.
And the camaraderie with the team.
Oh, absolutely. With the team building,
the coolest aspect.
It's a blast. Afterwards, we go to a bar, we have a good time, we sing karaoke, all that stuff. And you're out of town. But most of the times, the first couple weeks are rough because there's not much electricity anywhere.
You're pound, work day, in and out.
Yep.
Well,
but yeah, I would love for you to come join us on that. It's a good time.
Hey, if we get in probably about a year from now, if this channel kicks off, I'll bring a team with me, like a videography team. We'll document the whole process too.
It'd be huge.
That would be cool to, like, that's another reason I want to do this type of stuff, is just pull the curtain back. Like, people hire contractors and they think it's, the easiest thing in the world to, well, why didn't you? There are so many steps outside of just doing X that you need done.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to make it more than it is, but at the same time, just put things in perspective for people. Right. Like, you need to know what we're going through on this. Like, this is why we have to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Well, yeah,
absolutely.
man.
And when you can see that, like, from start to finish, it's pretty cool. And people love seeing that. And even the what do you call it? It's like a reel when it goes, from the beginning to the end, and it's fast forward. It's like time lapse. Thank you. People love watching those time lapse when you see, like, starting from removing it to it's down on the ground and it's empty and the house looks good. You're like, dang, that was fast. You watch a whole tree job that took hours in a minute and 30 seconds.
You can actually get yourself a GoPro, a Hero 11.
Yep.
And it has that same feature on it where you can do time lapse and just set it.
Yes.
Then your only goal is just making sure the red light's still blinking.
Right.
If it stays in the sun too long, it overheats. Or if it stays running too long, it shuts off. But in general, I mean, bring yourself a handful of backup batteries.
Yes. No, it's huge. It's important to have that kind of stuff and that to document, but to have a team, like, it would be cool.
Yeah. I look forward to where 2025 goes in general. I have total confidence you're going to not just stay where you're at, but continue to grow. So I look forward to having you back on maybe in a couple months or so. And just, see what the update is. And maybe we'll make it a point to teach maybe I'll do that on like people that come back. Like they'll teach something specific in that industry.
Yeah, no, I'd love that. That'd be
We're gonna see
great.
where this whole contractor corner goes. But I'm glad you came on again as one of the first ones.
Absolutely, brother.
So
Absolutely. I
you.
appreciate it. And maybe we do an opposite interview one time and I just question you.
That'll be fun. I'm so
Yeah,
used to sitting in this seat and making this stuff happen.
exactly.
So
That'd be
all
cool.
right.
Thank you
Well,
guys.
yeah, absolutely. And we put down there, I'll have it down below for people to know the website so they can go check it out and come and figure out, whatever it is that they need and send out
Absolutely.
pictures.
It's 2024 and it's almost Christmas. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everyone.
Amen. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. All right, catch you guys later.